Today on the Inside Scoop, we're talking Michigan's big recruiting wins, Georgia starting to crank it up in 2028, and Auburn's surprise run. We're going to break it all down. There is a lot to talk about on today's show, and as always, make sure you are subscribed to the Rivals YouTube channel. This is the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube. Can you believe it? We've had 77 live commitments from top recruits in the 2027 cycle. It has been a crazy spring and summer for 2027 recruiting. Every year, we kind of feel like the recruiting calendar is sped up, but this year especially. There's only 2 players in the top 50 that remain uncommitted at this point, Monshun Sales and David Gabriel Georges. I think there's 6 uncommitted in the top 150. So many commitments this offseason. Here's all 77 of them have gone down right here on this channel.
North Carolina State University.
Notre Dame.
The University of California, Berkeley.
Virginia Tech.
That being said, for the next 3 to 4 years, I will be committing to the University of Oregon.
Is it Washington?
To the University of Florida.
Oklahoma Sooners.
University of Florida. Go Gators. Virginia Tech.
Ready? University of Kentucky. Let's do it. Sights are set. Welcome.
University of Michigan.
Irish. University of Notre Dame.
Is the University of Michigan. Go blue.
Oh, shit, wrong one. Oh. I've been taking my talents to Michigan.
War damn Eagle.
The University of Clemson.
Indiana.
The Florida State University.
What's that?
Syracuse.
NC State.
The University of Kansas. Oh yeah.
The University of Clemson.
Oh, there it is.
University of Texas A&M.
Oh, the Aggies stay hot. There it is.
University of Indiana.
University of Auburn.
The University of Alabama. Virginia Tech.
The University of Nebraska.
At the Louisiana State.
Houston.
Michigan University.
To the University of Nebraska.
University of Florida.
Kansas State.
There it is.
Arkansas, University of Arkansas.
Hey, show 'em we're home at, man. Where you go, yo?
I will be committed to the University of Oklahoma.
The University of Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Clemson University.
University of California, Berkeley.
University of Texas.
Longhorns stay hot.
I'll be committing to the University of Texas.
The Ohio State University.
Anthony, welcome home. Go Duck.
University of Texas.
University of Auburn University.
Let go, Scout Bucks, go home, let's do it.
Mississippi State.
Washington.
University of Washington.
University of Oregon.
Let's go.
On to the University of Oregon.
Okay.
I'll be committing to the University of South Carolina.
Here at Oregon University.
Wow. The Ducks stay hot.
To the boot. We're going to the boot.
Oh, baby, it's LSU for Jaden Andig. The Gators get a good one. They go into Illinois. We're talking Michigan recruiting as the Wolverines closing in on a top 10 class after a busy summer and a big finish to visit season, landing the number 4 ranked player in the state of Ohio, cornerback Montana Torbert. So Ethan McDowell here with the Wolverine. A lot of big wins this offseason, but what would you say was the biggest recruiting win of the offseason so far?
Josh, I mean, it's tough to beating out Ohio State for an Ohio kid that the Buckeyes really, really wanted, right? And that's, what it was with Montana Torbert. His recruitment went down to the wire, man. It was looking like all OSU at first when he went on his official visit to Columbus June 12th. Comes back. We're wondering if he's going to make it to Michigan, going to make it to Ann Arbor for Victor's Weekend, but he does. And that's when Michigan completely flipped the script. I mean, it sounded like they had pretty much wrapped things up during that visit, but he stuck to his July 1st decision timeline, and that gave Ohio State to make a few late swings. But Michigan held on, secured his commitment, and that was a massive win. Somewhere like Michigan's been trying to land an elite cornerback for months. They really wanted to, finish off a class that already has 2 blue chip prospects with Darius Johnson and Blake Jenkins, and wanted to add a top 100 type of talent to that. And Torbert fills that role perfectly. He's someone that can play anywhere in the secondary. He's a game-changing level athlete. I think Rivals is right on with his ranking right now at top 75 in the country. They're ahead of the curve there. So I think he's a huge addition, and you add in the context of being out Ohio State for his commitment, and it's tough to beat that.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, going into the state of Ohio is no easy task. And Kyle Whittingham and his staff really hit the ground running and have had a great offseason. So who has emerged as an ace recruiter on this staff that maybe you weren't so familiar about, 4 or 5 months ago?
Talking about Torbert, Gennaro Guilford, the corners coach at Michigan, has done a really, really good job. He's someone that when he arrived at Michigan from BYU, he had the history of production. Like, that was not in question. His corners, regardless of who was on the field, they were hauling in interceptions nonstop. Really impressive, especially when I went back and looked at all the recruiting rankings for the guys that he brought in. And he was doing that with essentially no blue chip talent, Josh. There were very few blue chip prospects in the building at that point. So he arrives at Michigan, and you wonder, whenever you hire a coach from a smaller school, you're like, are they going to be content with taking, the 3-star guys and developing them like they've had such a good history with in the past? But no, he immediately got on the road. We've talked a lot about Josh Dobson before.
Yeah.
He got them in the mix with Josh Dobson, got them into second place going into his commitment to South Carolina, won the battle for Montana Torbert, landed 2 blue chip guys in Blake Jenkins and Darius Johnson. I cannot say enough about the job he's done, recruiting in the secondary at Michigan in a position that was a position of need going into this recruiting cycle. So Guilford, I think, is definitely, I don't think we've even seen the best of work he can do once, Michigan, is at full strength, has a full cycle to kind of build relationships. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do moving forward.
All right, so we've kind of been turning the page a little bit to 2028, but not ready to do that just yet in this Michigan update. So let's stick with 2027. Is there anything left on the board? What is still needed in terms of left to fill here?
So they want to add one more offensive lineman, and we've got our eyes on Lincoln Maygill for that. He's announcing this weekend. It's a Utah-Michigan battle, but we really like the Wolverines there. And then after that, they need 1 to 2 more wide receivers. They need another defensive tackle. They want like an old school middle linebacker. They want someone that looks like he'd be wearing a neck roll to come in there.
Love that.
So they've kind of filled out the linebacker class. And then they want to flip a 4-star safety. They're going to be looking at guys there to add some more talent to the safety class that already includes Tavares Harrington and Charles Woodson Jr. But yeah, Josh, I mean, we were talking about it right before we started recording. Things are slowing down this summer, and I don't think we'll see a ton of news until the fall once flip season arrives.
Right. And speaking of flip season, if Montana Torbert is the big win, is Dakota Grant the in-state wide receiver kind of the one that got away? And is he one that you do think Michigan will continue to pursue into the fall?
I don't even know if Michigan views him as someone that got away, because it was never a surprise that he was going to commit to Oregon this summer. Like the Ducks were always the heavy favorite, and it was always the perception around Michigan that his recruitment is going to go till signing day. They're going to keep recruiting him. And I think if Michigan, I've said it on the show, it feels like 10 times at this point, if they show strides offensively, or the passing game shows improvement, Bryce Underwood puts together a good season, I think the Grant family and Dakota will continue to keep an eye on Michigan, and they're right down the road. So who knows if they could pop up for a visit at some point. And I think Michigan will stay in the mix today. And he is definitely going to be the main number 1 flip target going into the fall.
All right, Michigan fans, talk to us. What was your biggest win, and who is your biggest flip target headed into the fall? Put it in the comments section below. Let's talk a little Georgia recruiting. Why? Because, Rusty, the people in the comment section have been asking for more Georgia recruiting updates, so I had to bring in the big dog himself. And so we're going to get into it with Rusty Mansell of Dogs HQ. Now, Rusty, number 16th ranked class, only 17 commitments right now. Little light compared to some classes, but what do you like about the class UGA is building so far?
Well, and I'll say this with conviction. Georgia's got the number 1 running back class in America committed. I think Keymon Spell's that guy, and he's not the only elite running back, okay? So I won't get into that conversation. But I'm telling you right now, you can save this, and you can cut it up, and you can clip it and do whatever you want. It's July the 8th, 2026. When you go back and look at this in 4 years, Georgia is about to get the number 1 running back class in this country, in this class, in my opinion, Keymon Spell. I love this guy. He does everything. Everybody I talk to about it raves about him. Great ball skills. I love Jackson Dollar as well.
Yeah.
Very athletic, 6'4" tight end out of North Carolina. Georgia had recruited a lot of guys. Basically, when he verbally committed, that was a wrap. They didn't go anywhere else. I think the positive right now, you look at Georgia, 2 things to come out of June. They didn't win a ton of battles. But right now, I can tell you 2 guys they are extremely happy on this commitment list right now are Kennedy Jackson, 6'6", offensive tackle at Lithonia High School. They flipped back from Florida.
That was a big win, yeah.
That was a big win. And I'll tell you, man, Kelsey Adams is a kid that I kept telling people he's taking visits. Does Georgia want him to take all those visits? Probably not. But he was up front. I'm going to take these visits. I'm going to go everywhere. And it looks like to me, Josh, as of right now, Georgia has weathered a storm on that. Our Jeremy Johnson this morning was at one of the Patty camps. He said he talked to him. We're going to have that message a little bit later on Dogs HQ. And I think right now that's the positives. But I will say it with conviction that they're signing the number 1 running back class in the country in this class.
All right, so what's left on the board, or at this point is Georgia just like the hunter? Are they looking for a potential late flip or two in the fall, or is there anything else that they're pursuing that you think they could land this summer?
Well, yeah, they got some guy, Carlos May's a guy they're in on defensive lineman in Alabama. You know, it seems like it very much could be a Georgia-Ohio State battle. You know, they got Adrian Cole, the young man's going to commit pretty soon, defensive back out of Atlanta. Tayshaun Poole's a kid out of Macon, Georgia. He's gonna make his decision in a couple of weeks. And I kind of thought that was Florida State for a while. Was in the driver's seat there. I think there's some opening there for Georgia with that. Caden Fife, who is a Tennessee verbal decommit, defensive tackle, who's played in Georgia his whole life, just transferred over across the line to an Alabama school. So it's really a Georgia kid just transferring over for his senior year. There's still some meat on the bone. I think what Georgia fans would agree on, and I'm going to be honest with you, at corner, man, they have really got to find some answers. I mean, they lose Dante Wright, who I don't think that surprised anybody when he decommitted, wind up at Miami. You lose an in-state commit in Chase Gilbert. He goes to Auburn at East Coweta High School. You had a kid out of Houston, Texas, Jerry Outhouse, who verbally decommits. You know, really, truthfully, I think Georgia's still in a pretty good spot, and I think they're going to make some portal moves too as well. But they got to find some answers at corner, and I don't know what direction they're going to go right now.
Yeah, and as it sits now, 16th overall, 8th ranked class in the SEC right now. So you might have hit on it. Is some of this due to holding back some for the transfer portal, or do you see this class finishing in the top 10 when it's all said and done?
It's going to be real close. Kirby is always good for one flip. That's just what he's done. Now, what kind of flip is it going to be? You know, you flip KJ Bolden, which is a late guy. You flip CJ Wiley, which is a late, flip in those type in previous classes. He's been pretty good at that. Can they win enough of these battles, Josh, in the next 2 or 3 weeks when there's still some decisions left? Can they get in that 10, 11, 12 range? Because if you were to get one of those flips, what I call a quote-unquote big boy flip, that gets you to 9 or 8, around there. You could end up in the top 10. I don't think this is going to be a top 4 class. They've missed on some guys in state. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I do think this is a damn good class. And if they end up with holding on to the guys they've got right now and added some key pieces, it's going to be fine.
Yeah, and as the top of that class, there's 4 or 5 guys in there that are instant impact type players as well.
Dudes.
Is UGA starting to crank it up for 2028? We already know they're off to an incredible start. The number 1 quarterback in America, Jane Wade, he made his commitment to Georgia right here on this channel. So it seems, though, like 2028 is starting to come into focus a little bit here.
I think it will for everybody. And what happens is right now, these coaches are – in fact, I talked to a coach this morning at a Big Ten school. He's like, I'm going to finish up my next 3 or 4 days with my family, Rusty, and then I come back. It's ding, ding until the season's over. So everybody's kind of away. You'll start seeing these coaches trickle in the office next week nationwide. What are they going to do? Because they know what's going on with their team. They will turn their focus to 2028, and they will turn their focus to those August offers for that next class. You'll start seeing a lot of new offers in August for these guys, so they'll really dig in. Also, too, Josh, this, covering recruiting, they've had all these kids in June on camp. They will come in and reset their board and go, we need to offer this kid, need to offer this kid. So they really will kind of jumpstart 2028. Quarterbacks are flying off the board, man, and Georgia's got – they got a damn special one right now, man. I mean, I know Georgia fans know it's a long way to go. They've been burned a couple of times at the end by 5-star quarterbacks. But this is a big, big piece, and I think that Georgia's locked in as hard as they can be with Jaden Wade.
All right, we love talking Georgia recruiting. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Also, 17 commitments right now. Talk to me and Rusty. Who is your favorite commitment in the class? Put the name in the comment section below. We got to talk a little Auburn recruiting as the Tigers are going international. We got Jeffrey Lee here. Jeffrey, we've had a lot of commitments for Auburn on this channel. Let me see if I got them all here. Myson Johnson Cook, Isaac McNeil, MJ Evans, Cedric Simmons, Leighton Von Brandt. Which of these do you think was the biggest, in your opinion, so far this offseason?
Myson Johnson Cook, by far. I do. I think he was top of the board, overall board. I think Leighton Von Brandt not far behind him, but I think Auburn absolutely wanted a stud elite running back in this class. He was at the top. And for them to go and get him, pull him away from Miami, which was the presumed leader for so long, I think was an absolute monster deal.
Yeah. Looking back, I was going to go with Leighton Von Brandt, but looking back that week of, or maybe the 8 days leading up to the Mason Johnson Cook, he was absolutely pegged to go to Miami. And that thing turned around in the last 48 hours. That was a pretty exciting recruitment. All right, let's get back to it. Going international. Yes, the Auburn Tigers are looking at Nico Campos out of London NFL Academy. Offensive lineman, 6'7", 275. Before we get into where they stand, how did Auburn get involved in this recruitment?
Well, as the great Michael Scott said, you miss 100% of the shots you do not take. But Tyler Hudenick has done a fantastic job with Auburn in this recruitment. He flew to London, visited with. I know that's such a downfall of this job, but he flew to London, met with Nico and his father there, and kind of came away from that going, man, I think we've got a shot here. And they also have an in there. Although Nico goes to school in London at the NFL Academy, he's originally from Germany, and Auburn has German Wilson Zier, younger brother of Killian Zier, on the team. And so when Nico came on his official visit, he had that familiarity there with Wilson, who later transferred to North Georgia and went to high school there, and that's where he was signed out of. But originally from Germany, and if you talk to him, you can tell he's still got that accent. So there was some connections there. But Auburn, Tyler Hudenick going over there, getting Auburn in this recruitment, getting Nico on campus, has them as a finalist. I don't know if they're the presumed leader, but definitely that effort from Hudenick got Auburn in.
When do you think he's gonna announce? I mean, is this going to be a summer deal, or could he be one of the few to take it all the way?
No, I think in the next 2 weeks. I think his plan was to take all his official visits. I'm not saying he hasn't made a private commitment already. He just doesn't want to, or hasn't announced it publicly. I think his plan, he told me, was to take his official visits, his last one being to Tennessee that last weekend, June 19th, make a decision the following week privately with his family, and then announce it publicly in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So we should be coming up on a Nico Campos commitment at some point.
All right. Well, that looks like
the next week or two.
Right. And that could be the last remaining need to fill on the offensive side of the ball. But what remains on the defensive side of the ball right now for Auburn?
Yeah, I think Auburn would like to add another defensive lineman. I think they would like to add another cornerback and another safety. I think I don't think they're going to be pressing or getting desperate to fill those needs. But I do think ideally Auburn would like to add a D lineman, a cornerback, and a safety on the defensive side of the ball, and another offensive lineman.
All right. And Carlos May, Carlos May is going to be announcing right here on July 18th. So I'm assuming that's probably the top target right now available on the D-line.
Yeah, absolutely. He's at the top of the board right now. Has been for a while as far as, uncommitted guys go. He's just been so erratic. I don't know if he's been overly honest. I mean, he's almost been too honest, but because his recruitment's just been like a roller coaster for fans of Auburn, for fans of Georgia, for fans of Ohio State. It was Georgia was number one, then the next week it was Auburn and Georgia are tied at the top, then the next week it was Ohio State leads, and that's kind of where we stand at this point, 10 days away from his announcement. So, and I've told Auburn fans and our listeners and our members, I was like, expect a roller coaster here. Good or bad, the kid has been overly honest, presumably honest. And sometimes that's not a good thing for fans, at least.
Yeah, but if you've dealt with him, you understand he is a bit of a character in a good way, and he's not, he's very honest, like you said. So he gets asked questions and he'll answer them, and fans, might feel like their head's spinning. But Carlos May is definitely one of the top available targets still left on the board.
He knows the game too. He knows
for sure.
He knows what's going on. He reads the stories. He's very in tune to the recruiting process and how guys like us doing our job can impact not only fans but also the NIL and using it as leverage. And he's very smart. Very smart kid, and absolutely a character and a very good player.
Yeah,
so it'll be interesting the next 10 days.
Fans will get to see that on July 18th right here on the channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed. All right, so that being said, a lot of big wins, but you're not going to win every recruitment. Is there anybody that you see that got away that Auburn is just not going to give up on into the fall?
Yeah, no doubt about it. Tay Walden Jr., who just committed to Oregon, I believe, last week.
July 1st, right here on this channel. Yeah,
sure
he did.
Committed to Oregon. I felt like Auburn was in a very good spot with him from his May 29th official visit, and even making it through the Ole Miss and all the other visits that he took. But when he got to the Oregon, that last visit, I think that really moved the needle for him. I think his parents, just from talking to some of those close to that family, some of those close to that recruitment, I think his parents would prefer him. He's from Mississippi. They would prefer him to stay closer to home. Georgia and Auburn both being popular choices amongst the parents. But, when it comes down to it, it's where the kid wants to go. And they honored that. So I think knowing that and knowing that how high he was on Georgia and Auburn, both Georgia and Auburn before committing to Oregon, I think both of those schools are going to continue with him, especially Auburn. And then another one, Josh, is Junior Tuopo, the four-star safety from up the road and near Birmingham, who's committed to Texas. I'm going to be keeping an eye on those two cats moving forward.
All right. Now, we've talked a lot about Auburn's recruiting success this offseason. Obviously, Alex Golesh brings the juice. He is the engine behind this recruiting machine. But who on his staff has also emerged as an ace recruiter?
Man, it's tough to nail down just a couple because every one of them have loaded up already.
Really?
Auburn's at 25 commitments. Like I said, there's only 3 or 4 spots really left to be filled. But on the offensive side of the ball, I think it starts with Tyler Hudenick, the offensive line coach, the young guy who's been able to get the Leighton Von Brandts, the Reed Ramsires, the Jalen Moores. I think he's been fantastic for Auburn in that high school class, and even going back to the transfer portal class. I think he has really emerged as a force to be reckoned with on the offensive side of the ball for Auburn. On defense, I think it starts at the top with DJ Durkin. I've been amazed at what he's been able to do throughout his tenure at Auburn. If there's a linebacker that he wants, 80% of the time he's going to get him. Like that Isaac McNeil, Kareem Palmer, I think he's done a fantastic job at getting the guys that he wants. He's not batting 1,000 either. Jabari Smith is joking Gouda is Georgia. Yeah. So, he's not batting 1,000, but if there's guys that he wants at the linebacker position, he gets it. Vontrell Williams, defensive line coach, is another guy that deserves a mention. DeMarcus Van Dyke at cornerback. So Tim Banks at safety. They've got a lot of good recruiters on the defensive side of the ball. And then if you go back to the offense, I hate to leave out the OG Larry Porter. He's the one who's got Mason Johnson Cook, had Kingston Miles committed, and then, pivoted to Moni Williams. So he's had 3 other top running backs committed just in the first, 6-7 months of this cycle.
All right, Auburn fans, talk to us. Who do you feel was the biggest recruiting win of the offseason? And also, what do you think of Golesh's recruiting now that the dust has settled on OV season? Talk to me and Jeff in the comment section below.